brilliant lights, the more it explains to the scientists that the galaxies are indeed moving away from each other. And so they said it's moving at the speed of light. What is speed of light? 186.3 thousand miles per second. This is how fast the earth is moving. In other words, every 15 seconds the universe extends 1 million miles from 2 billion years ago. Imagine. We don't see all these things. Physicists, they knew all these things. Every 15 seconds the universe extends 1 million miles from the first explosion, the Big Bang, boom, is still being felt as we sit here. So Allah also mentioned the extension of the universe in the Quran. God Almighty said in the Quran, وَالسَّمَاءِ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِئُونَ وَالْأَرْضَ فَرَشْنَاهَا فَنِئِمَ الْمَاهِدُونَ. We are the ones that constructed the firmament with might. In other words, we are the ones that created the universe with might. Which might? The Big Bang. وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِئُونَ. And we are extending its horizon. Who told the messenger Muhammad that this is the case? Who tell him that, look, this is the case, the universe is moving? Can you look at the sky and deduce that the universe is moving at the speed of light? How could you do that? But it's there. وَالسَّمَاءِ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِئُونَ. We are the ones that created the heaven with might. Which might? The Big Bang is the might. وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِئُونَ. And it is for us that we are extending its horizon. So we say, this definitely have to be a book revealed from God Almighty. I should be giving you the chapters and verses. Quran chapter 41 verse 11 and Quran chapter 21 verse 30. This is where you find this one. Today, the meteorologists, men of knowledge, men who specialize on the science of rain, they are telling us today that before rain falls, it has to go on 3 different, levels or 3 different phases. First of all, they said the clouds in the horizon move together. When it's rain, look at the heaven. You see the clouds, the small clouds, they moving together, independently, they're moving together. The science are telling us that before it rains, the little clouds that you see in the horizon, they keep moving together to certain location. When it moves together, it collects together. And then when it collects together, it acquires such a mountain-like look, and then it starts mounting into the heavens. So it moves, they call it the movement of the clouds, and then the gathering of the clouds, which they call stacking. It stack together, and then eventually it moves up. When it moves up, certain scientific calculation takes place, and then eventually it falls back as rain. So we know today that rain have to undergo the 3 different processes for the rain to fall. And then we asked them, when did you know all this information? They said less than 75 years ago. We say, well, the Quran have also revealed the exact thing that you, through painstaking information, sending balloons and satellites in the universe, taking pictures in the horizon, bring it down to the earth, to the laboratory, and analyze it, and then eventually you know all these things. But we have this in the Quran some 1,423 years ago. They say, no, Mr. Muhammad, it's absolutely impossible. You see, this is physics, this is science. How could that be? I mean, the 7th century, how could a human being living in the desert, far from civilization, be able to know that the sky and all these things happens, and then eventually it's in the Quran. This is modern science. So we said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran chapter 24 verse 43, God Almighty, He knew that men will eventually get to that kind of knowledge, and so He said, Alam tara anna Allah yuzji sahaban summa yu'allifu bainahu summa yaj'aluhu rukaman fatara al-wadqa yakhruju min hilalihi. Do they not see how we move the clouds gently, then we pack them together? When it acquires its mass, it starts going up, and then within it, rain started falling. And today science are telling us the first clouds that move, they call them cumulus clouds. These are the cumulus clouds. They move independently, but when it converges, it becomes cumulonimbus. These are the huge clouds. After that, it acquires like a mountain. If you look at the sky when it rains, the clouds look like a mountain, huge. Alam tara anna Allah do they not see how we move the clouds gently? Which clouds? The cumulus clouds move gently. Then we join them together. That is cumulonimbus. Because from the cumulus clouds, says the scientist, when it converges, it becomes one huge stack. It becomes cumulonimbus. Then it started going up, acquiring the updraft. As it goes up, eventually the rain started falling. So God Almighty, He knew eventually science will come to know all this. And so He said, do they not see? Who? The scientists, men of knowledge. Actually, God Almighty, in this final revelation, He said, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Most certainly, in the creation of the heaven and the earth and the alternation of night and day are indeed sign for those who have understanding, for those who reflect, for those who think deep. Who are these people? Then he said, these are the people who stand thinking about the creation. Standing, sitting, lying on their side, thinking, looking at the horizon with the thought, oh my Lord, all these things are not created in vain. Glory unto thee, save us from the hellfire. So the men of knowledge were actually given a lofty position in Islam. Men of knowledge. Because the first revelation that came to the messenger Muhammad was Iqra'a bi-ismi rabbika allazi. Read in the name of your Lord. The first word that Muhammad ever heard from Angel Gabriel was read. Knowledge. Analysis. Searching. The revelation came as a form of knowledge. And so the first revelation the messenger received, knowledge was mentioned twice and pen mentioned once. This is to emphasize the importance of learning. So we know today, both pen and knowledge is synonymous in institutions of learning today. Pen and learning are one today in any place that learning takes place. So I'm going to be talking about also the seventh heaven. See, we always say, well, the heaven is divided in seven fragmentation. The atmosphere is seven. We say the Quran have mentioned about the seven, that the heaven is divided in seven different compartments in so many different places, more than 1,000 times. You know, somewhere they said, don't you look at the heaven, how we divide them in seven? In the halki samawat, you know, sab'a as-samawat, the seven heaven, and the earth is seven heaven and the earth. If you are a casual Quranic reader, definitely you would come across these words. At least in each and every chapter of the Quran, you will come across the seventh heaven, the seventh heaven, the seventh heaven, the seven have been divided in seven components. And today, we thank God, the scientists today are telling us that actually the atmosphere of this earth, the heaven above this earth of ours, is divided in seven different layers. We know today through science that the heaven above the earth is seven different compartments. How did they know all these things? Through calculations, through physics, learning, sending balloons in the heavens. The Vikings, the Hubble telescope, doing great job taking pictures of the heaven, and so the scientists can see the division of the layers in the atmosphere. And they have given us these basic seven heavens. The first one they call stratosphere. That was the first heaven. The second heaven is troposphere. The third heaven is ozonosphere. The fourth heaven is mesosphere. The fifth heaven is thermosphere. And the seventh heaven is exosphere. This is contemporary science. And so the first heaven, stratosphere, occupies 90% of the heavenly matters. Is based on the first heavens. And in ionosphere, in ozonosphere, that is where the radioactive of the ozone layer takes place, in the ozonosphere. At the same time, this ozonosphere have a special duty. This duty is so vital for the livelihood of mankind on earth. because it returns